Tenno, a new alert has begun. Be marked on navigation.
It's Freedom 90 by George Michael. 25 past 10, and let's get a travel update with Nick. Morning, Nick.
Well, good morning to you. If you're travelling south on the A1M, the Doncaster bypass, there's been an accident causing some queues. So from Wandsworth Road, junction 36 towards 35 for the M18, watch out for queuing traffic around the areas there. Ferry Bridge, but was an accident earlier around Holmesford Road. It's cleared, and I think we're going back to
Attack us, and we will counter. Elude its bone-chilling shrieks if you wish to stay alive. Your target is an aberration of twisted flesh. Put the thing out of its misery.
From 4, Jules Bellaby.
Transferring still holding. Target spotted. Stay sharp. This one is a handful. Target down. Assassination contract complete. Great work, Tenno. Target down. Assassination contract complete. Great work, Tenno.
That's U2's version of Christmas, Baby Please Come Home. Let's take a look at the weather. A few mist and fog patches are going to clear this morning, leaving a dry day with patchy cloud and sunny spells. Top temperature 8 Celsius, that's 46 Fahrenheit. Tonight, cloudy this evening with outbreaks of light rain and drizzle moving eastwards. The rest of the night will be dry but fairly cloudy and windy with an overnight low of 5 Celsius, that's 41 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow then, that's Tuesday, cloudy with outbreaks of rain spreading eastwards through the morning, becoming heavy and persistent later, milder but windy.
Julia Lewis.
BBC Radio York.
And it's Monday, so that means our opinion panellists are here to give us their opinions. And good morning to Sarah Robin from the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning. And good morning, Sam Black, a retired farmer and former chairman
I
of
thought
the
you'd
show.
want to
Busier
know.
than ever, though.
Absolutely.
Always busy.
Yeah.
How's the Christmas prep going? Panicking or okay?
Panicking slightly, yes. I've got quite a lot of sort of family coming, and I have got stuff. I mean, they're quite old now, but I've got stuff for their Christmas stockings, but that's about as far as it's gone. Oh, and I've ordered a goose.
Oh, a goose. Sam,
yeah.
you going goose or turkey?
No, we used to do in the old days, but
I
it's
hope
turkey.
this interests you.
Yeah, but preparations are going well. I understand. I don't get involved
You
too
do
much.
as you're told.
On this occasion, I normally do.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
It's easier.
You get a list, don't you? And go, right, you can do that. But anyway, I took him pre-Christmas shopping. We were doing a supermarket shop. And he walked off with a trolley.
I never
You've
get
got to keep
invited.
up this time. Well, because you're more of a liability, Sam. That's the
You're
trouble.
absolutely correct.
Honestly,
My wife would agree
stick
entirely
to the
with
list,
that.
Stick to the list and stay close because random stuff's going in. Pickled onions. But that's the only time we have pickled onions in the house.
What is it about women when they go shopping? They tend to touch everything.
Yeah,
If you're not going to buy it, why are you touching it? Oh, that's nice. Are you going to buy it? No. Well, why are you touching it?
Well, I wouldn't touch it. I
I'm
wasn't
not a
thinking
keen
about it.
shopper. I absolutely hate shopping. As little as possible and as late
Avoid
as
the
possible.
creature's
For
strike.
Christmas
Your
season.
opinion, Sam, is
Sharp quills will
total
rip your
agreement so far,
warframe to
Julie.
shreds.
So far. Well, let's move on to some of our subjects this morning. I thought this might be a little bit interesting because there was lots of results this weekend. Did the right people win? Strictly personality. So, sports personality of the week, which I absolutely ended, was Gareth Thomas. And I'm not very familiar with his cyclist.
Listen.
Champion.
You are getting close.
Given the title Personality of the Year, you appear to have very little personality. You appear to be completely dumbstruck. Did you see it?
I didn't, but my husband did, and we both watched the Tour de France because I used to work in bike business, and he is actually a really nice guy, and he's kind of unassuming. He's not pushing himself forward, but he has done absolutely incredibly. So yeah, I was very happy with that. Yeah, I thought it was deserved. Yeah.
Well, I disagree with the result and demand another recount.
The assassin target is here. Wipe them out.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, he did tremendously well, didn't he?
I thought it was interesting, and this always happens as well. There was the year when there were no women in this.
Target down.
you could vote for.
Assassination contract complete.
Controversy at the time, and then this.
Well, yeah, as I said, I didn't see it, but yeah, it probably does matter. I mean, I think women's sport doesn't get enough high enough profile. There was those fabulous shots of the netball team winning.
Yeah, well, they
and
won the team.
but who won? I didn't really know. I mean, my son plays netball in London, but until they won, I didn't really know there was a UK netball team.
Profile, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It
I mean,
just doesn't get
and the
coverage.
cricket team and the football team all do incredibly well. I mean, you never see them.
Women teams.
However, on the opposite side, you'll get a lot more now. Women presenters.
Target down. Assassination contract complete. Great work, Tenno.
So many cameras.
The BBC has a policy 50-50 representation.
Right.
And Strictly, do you do Strictly, either of you?
I only did a few earlier on and then the final.
Okay, did the right person win? Stacey Dooley.
I really like Stacey Dooley. I first clocked her when BBC Three was not, was on the main channels, and she asked good questions, and she's a really interesting woman and incredibly brave as well. And yeah, so I mean, I suppose some of the
If I may
routines
say,
by the others
operator,
were a bit
your
more
chosen
spectacular,
WarFrame
but the fact that she
suits
come
you.
from not dancing
Ha,
was
ha.
really good.
She was the one that had no experience of
Yeah.
any dancing. Do you do Strictly, Sam?
And my wife does it, so therefore I watch
Yes,
as well
there
if
he's on.
I'm there. And I agree entirely. I think the whole point was that she came from no experience whatsoever. And I think I seem to gather this time, I don't know if I watched it more closely, how hard work it is for these people who've never danced before. The work they must put in to do a routine like that is incredible. It really is.
And how they do it in high heels.
Yeah,
That's
impossible.
God,
How do you do it
blimey.
full stop?
Incredible. Yeah.
So yes, full
So
agreement
right,
again.
The right person
Yeah.
there. And then The Apprentice, neither of you saw The Apprentice.
No.
But the thing is, what's happened is Yorkshire and female won. So Sian Gabidon, we think, swimwear designer from Leeds, and she won. And it was the vast majority of people, I think, the top 5, 4 of them were women. So it's great for the North, a fashion designer in the North, a woman fashion designer in the North, was won The Apprentice, which, you know, again, that's good, isn't it? For
I'm getting a bit of a trend here. I'm feeling slightly outnumbered here. It's getting a bit feminist in here for me.
Do you remember the
But is it a
old war,
positive thing
operator?
if women are getting?
Or just seems to have
advantage
misplaced
like
those
that?
memories?
I don't. I mean, certainly with the Apprentice, I just sort of go, oh, because the way
Oh,
they
it's
sort of.
pantomime. It's pantomime.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I know. It's just
pantomime.
sort of I don't particularly enjoy it, and you sort of. Yeah, I'm a bit neutral on it, I think, but yeah.
Clever editing and pantomime.
Yeah.
It is an opinion panel, isn't it? Here,
Yes.
I'm allowed to express my opinion.
Yes.
Go for
I
it.
think the feminist thing
We
is
need to
one
find
slightly
the
over top.
VIP
Too
and
far.
take them
Yeah.
on. Do
In
not
what
let the
sense?
target escape.
This
place
a
is
lot of-
crawling
when-
with
before the
infested.
sports presenters and things like this,
Unfortunately, something
in
far
my
more
opinion,
ominous
a lot of them
awaits.
aren't as
Make
good
your way
as the men
deeper
would be
into the
on that
base.
subject.
Listen
and
for its
some
screams.
sports, correct.
This will
in
mean
some
we're getting close.
circumstances, they're being put in there because they are women, not due to their not wanting
That's the point, though, I think, isn't it? That's the point, is to get more men.
to go according to her yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, I worked in the bike industry, and it was interesting that I would know a massive amount more than say. Quite often, men would come in and they'd be desperate to talk to a man about bikes because only men knew about bikes. So I think that does.
Your
sometimes,
target
you
is an
sort of go,
aberration
la la
of
la
twisted
with
flesh.
your fingers in your
Put the
ears when
thing
some
out of its
knowledgeable
misery.
woman's talking about something, and then the man you're more used to
No, I
accepting.
can't do that, Tom. I just think it's slightly too far the other way.
There is this movie, and I saw something the other day, pale
You've
veiled
located
stay.
the time to go to work.
Stay, or you're getting there.
Yeah.
People who are not from an background,
They won't be bothering us anymore.
who have
Let's
really
get out of
good
here.
skills and just can't get anything. And so because of that, because they feel, you know, in their job there'll be some kind of backlash and it's not fair. Is there a feeling of that, or has it just not been fair the other way for so long? About time to have more impact.
It's a really tricky one, isn't it? Because when you look at the top, who's top in various industries, you know, they hardly get any women CEOs. So there's a lot more. It is still very difficult. So, yeah, I think maybe not as massive change as much.
They won't be bothering us anymore. Let's get out of here.
There we go. It's all fair. Let's take a break for some music and cheat codes, and then we'll talk about climate change.
Dancing with your silhouette in the places that we've been. Ooh, trying to find you in the moon. Paris never feels the same when the streets all call your name. Ooh, so I had to grab a room and I'll follow right down the river where the ocean meets the sky. To you. Once upon a time we had it all. Somewhere down the line we went and lost it. One break at a time we watched it fall. I'm broken here tonight and darling, no one else can fix me. Only you. Only you. Oh, no one else can fix me. Only you. Only you. Only you. Oh, no one else can fix me. Only you.
Operator, you have remembered well how the tenor arm themselves.
Did I let go of your hand for a castle made of sand? Ooh, that fell into the groove. I went following the sun to be alone with everyone. Ooh, looking round a crowded room. And I follow right down the river.
Tenno, a new alert has begun. It will be marked on navigation.
To you. Once upon a time we had it all. Somewhere down the line we went and lost it. One break at a time we watched it fall. I'm broken here tonight and darling, no
BBC Radio York.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BBC Radio York's festive Cake and a Cuppa. Let the caking and the cuppering begin.
This room is huge. There's so many people here. So much cake has been consumed so far.
So what have you got on your plate?
Chocolate cake and a mince pie.
Santa Claus is in the building.
I've taken time out. I wanted to come.
Where have you come from?
Caton.
Have you all come together? Do you all know each other?
We decided we were all from Caton, which was really nice, so we sat together.
So up to today, had you spoken together before?
Not really.
And that's what this is all about?
Yeah, it is. It's right. It's been really nice.
Are you going home together?
Yes, we're going on the bus.
Fabulous.
Bringing North Yorkshire together.
BBC Radio York.
Now my guests this morning are Sarah Robin and Sam Blacker, taking us through some opinion panel subjects today. And let's move on to climate change, because it's been in the news over the weekend quite a lot. I mean, my question this morning is, are we doing enough? Delegates from almost 200 countries have agreed how they were going to implement the Paris Climate Treaty, which was signed 3 years ago. And the talks in Poland overran by a day as they were struggling to sort out various issues. The agreement aims to limit global temperature rise to well below 2
what are you
degrees.
thinking about?
Are we doing enough, Sarah?
No, we're definitely not. And there are a lot of things that we could do that we don't do. I mean, like more, it's partly, there's all sorts of things. Transport, we're basically having more and more and more cars. Even if we go electric with cars, where's the electricity going to come from? We definitely need more renewables feeding into the grid. And we need ways to make the grid more resilient. I went to quite an interesting workshop about that recently, where you sort of have batteries that power up when there's plenty of renewable power, and then they can download when there's less and stuff like that. But I mean, transport, we have to lessen the use of cars, more public transport, but it's very, very difficult to do that with a sort of a whole lot of different transport, bus companies competing, car companies competing. There's things like insulating homes better, making them more resilient for hot weather as well as cold weather, making just lots and lots and lots of little changes.
Is there an appetite for it, though? This is the problem you've got. You know, we all try and do a little bit, don't we? A little bit, and but it feels like tokenism. It feels like we individually can't do enough when you've got China, sending out huge amounts of pollution and everything. Are we doing enough, Sam?
No. Well, I would suggest not. But what we do about it, I'm not quite sure, because you get so many different views. From a farming point of view, we were told that we must keep less cows because they produce methane from whatever end. And the next thing they say is we put more land down to grassland, because we're basically taking all the nutrients out of the land by intensive farming. So if you've got the grassland, you need animals to graze it. So the two don't work together. We tend to get opposite views on things. But the thing that always strikes me is but the planet has been round this before, because there must have been global warming when the ice age disappeared. So is it a cyclical Is it just
thing?
down to us, or is it a cyclic thing that will go around every million years or so? And somebody said to me, which I thought was quite apt, that we're not actually trying to save the planet with this, we're trying to save the human race, because we may basically wipe ourselves out, but the planet will continue and will put itself right.
Yeah, but it'll take a few million years to go,
Absolutely,
and we'll lose an awful lot along the way. I mean, I think, yes, that obviously there was a whole lot of carbon around millions of years ago, and it's been sealed away. But the changes happened over millennia. These changes have happened over our lifetime. My lifetime, I mean, the climate has changed.
Have they happened over our lifetime, or have we just started measuring them?
Yeah, they have. Because you can take it back. But I've talked to people that look at like carbon particles in peat bogs. You can see when the Industrial Revolution started because of the shape of the carbon particles that are there, and so you can date things like you can analyse air from glaciers and from the Greenland ice. And then you can see how much carbon dioxide there was in the air millions of years ago, because that ice has been there for such a long time. So you do have a really good baseline as to what's happened and how quickly it's changed.
In terms of doing something about it, is it a problem with a generational thing? Because the people who are making the decisions, the people who have the power, are older, will be dead in 20 years' time. My daughter, 17-year-old, she's absolutely apoplectic. They constantly say, your generation, you killed the planet, look what you're doing with politics, your generation,
Sounds like a teenager.
Yeah, well, she is, yeah.
But it's still happening.
What?
we're still polluting it.
Yeah,
you
we're
know?
still, but that's because the people who are making the decisions, who have the power to make change, are not motivated because in 20 years' time they're not here. Whereas the generation who have no power at all, they're very, very clued up on climate change and what needs to happen.
So how would they change it?
Well, that means constantly just teeny tiny little things, but wanting, recycling, all that sort of stuff, but wanting us, older people, to take more participation and make bigger changes in terms
Please
of
return
public
covered in blood.
There's far fewer of that generation. I mean, like, neither of my children, who are now sort of 30 and 33, learnt how to drive until they were in their late 20s. I learnt when I was 17. Actually, no, I just learnt at 32. So...
Well, you can't park anywhere. It's more
exactly.
liability,
So they're not. They are using public transport much more and using other forms of transport and thinking about how they get from one place to another.
But they must be in a minority when you look at the amount. As I drove in today, the ring road around York is at a standstill. At Poppleton there. Where do all these people go?
Did they have grey hair?
I never looked, actually, to be honest.
Thank you very much on that one. We want to move on to this one because we were talking a little bit about feminism and women versus men, etc. earlier, but are adverts sexist or have we gone too PC? Adverts which show a woman being unable to park a car or a man struggling to change a nappy are now to be banned from next year under new rules drawn up by regulators. Ads must not include gender stereotypes which are likely to cause harm or offence, no matter how silly they seem. Karen Fraser, the director of strategy at Advertising Association, says firms want to reflect men and women in a more modern guise. Are they right to do that, Sam? Or are you rolling your eyes slightly
I
there?
think you know my views on this already, Julia. Oh, get a life, get over it. Come on, I can't change your nappy, I don't care.
Is it just
well,
a bit
I think
of fun?
it should be taken as a bit of fun, yes. These people get things too serious. Get a life.
Sarah.
Well, this actually dates back many years. I was doing sort of stuff for... I was doing a primary teaching qualification and I was doing stuff about boys and girls. And I showed a picture of a boy with curly hair to a
Stand
little boy.
by while I
And he said,
analyse the
"Boys and
intelligence
girls."
profiles of the Grenier.
When he was 3 or 4.
Error,
Kids are
not a
taking in
number.
these ads and
Did
sort
the
of
operator
it's
enjoy
going
this
quite deep
criticism?
level that boys are like this and girls are like that. And I think that if it's a constant, that they don't have a sort of screen. They don't sort of say, oh, that's stupid, or this is silly, or it's not really like that. And I think also there's certainly when I had kids, it was unusual for a man to be pushing a buggy or changing nappies or whatever. Now with my kids' generation, it's just assumed that they're going to be doing.
You're a granddad, aren't you?
I am indeed, yes.
So it's different, isn't it, with that generation? It is
Oh,
different.
absolutely. My son-in-law is a very, very good modern father. However, I still don't see how this affects what should be or could be a humorous advert, and most of them aren't humorous. They're not. They're not being serious, are they?
Yeah, but it's the reinforcement, isn't it?
I think it depends how it works out. Yeah, because if it's something silly, I think it'll depend how they draw the lines and stuff. But it would be silly if
that's the question, isn't it? The line is being drawn far too severely.
Well, we don't really know yet. I mean, because certainly there's often ads that I just think, oh, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It shouldn't be on. And other times you think, well, that's just it's silly and it's fine. But I would imagine that people are grown-ups. They're not going to be dogmatic about it.
But society's changing. Society's
Yeah.
changing, isn't it? And so adverts need to reflect the change in society, maybe.
Sorry, society's changing. I'm probably not. That could be one of the problems. I live in a different era, really, Julia. However, surely a lot of this has got to be down to parental teaching as well. If you see an advert, you tell your kids about it.
But some kids watch an awful lot of telly. I mean, I walk the dog first thing in the morning. There's a little girl sat watching telly in one of the front rooms.
Oh, she moves around. I do that when it's dark. It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah,
can nose
you sort
into
of
the
think,
front
oh
room.
God, little soul. She's got all these ads going on. There's an awful lot of kids like that. Parents having a sleep in.
I rest my case, parental control.
Well, but the trouble is,
Give them a book.
You can't sort of legislate for that, can you? I mean,
no, you can't. But it's common sense, isn't it? You presumably brought your children up to be decent, reasonable adults. Some of these kids, if they go by this, it's just too black and white. You are a man, you're a woman. Get over the rest of it.
But there's an awful lot of very subtle messages. I mean, there was a lovely documentary about school kids on the Isle of Wight, and they're looking at how boys and girls were treated differently in a class, and the teacher was so unconsciously saying, "Come on, guys," to boys, and "Come on," I can't remember what word he used.
Girls, maybe.
Well, is that wrong?
No, well, it was just that he treated them differently, had different expectations, and it was coming from a very,
But the boys are guys and the girls are girls.
But
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but if you treat them, I can't remember how they changed the language, but it was sort of loves, or sort of a kind of much more demeaning term he used for the girls.
In my age, if you'd call boys loves, that's wrong.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so, they did this over a term or two, and it did completely change the dynamics in the class, and kids were much happier. Much. There was all sorts of really interesting changes and really quite subtle messages.
I would suggest that some of these documentaries are doctored to show that. I mean,
it's in the editing.
I just find that
it can be.
I really find that crazy. I do.
Let's move on to the next subject then. We've
Anybody want to ring in and back me up here?
I'm sure they will. 81333 starting message of the word York. This is really interesting one. This was the front page of The Sun on Saturday. Would you mind paying £6 to visit Europe? It's emerged that British people will have to pay a permit costing £6.30 to travel to EU countries after Brexit. Would that bother you, Sarah?
No, I think it's fair enough, because we're not paying into the system that's administering all the visas, and so we should pay the same as you would with other countries that you're not linked with.
Should we charge them to come here as well?
Well, we might need to, yeah.
Well, it should be tit for tat, shouldn't it? Really, it doesn't really bother me too much, but personally, I see nothing wrong with that at all. But if they're charging us, we charge them.
Is it just more administration that we could have done without?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what's becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. Is that I know a lot of people that have moved to DEFRA to work on what happens if there's a no deal, and there's all manner of sort of trade things, like trade with the Americas and trade here and trade there, that are gonna. You just don't realise there's a whole undercurrent of things going on that have been managed in a certain way for many years.
It has created, things like that's going to create work, isn't it? That's going to create jobs, whether it's pointless jobs or not.
Our position has been compromised.
Situation is created.
Defend the cargo until reinforcements arrive.
Take money out of things like education and fixing the roads, useful things. It's a whole lot of
lawyers, they're getting.
Yeah, consultancies, all sorts of stuff making paid money.
It beats me. Why do you need consultants when you've got the civil servants who are paid to do the job? So why are they bringing consultants in?
There's been an awful lot of cuts in civil service, the areas that I deal with.
This always strikes me when you say how many cuts there's been. Yes, it's made sense, but how many of those jobs are how jobs more? Well, you see, our relationship is totally mutual. Really well.
Show next year. Are you standing back or?
Actually, I've been involved for about 12 years, so. That's not very interesting.
What's the date? Let's get the date now, darling. Everything okay at the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust?
Yes, there's sort of various things coming up, but have a look on the website for lots of events and things over the holidays.
Oh, really? Well, it's really nice to see you. Thank you very much for coming in and for sharing your own opinions and views. So thank you very much. That's so Let's get the latest on the roads now. Here's Nick.
Attack us, and we will counter. Close one. We're done here. The extraction team will take over from here. Time to evacuate.
Saturday afternoon. Is that too late, too early? It felt about right, if I'm honest. And there was the obligatory set of lights that didn't work. Adam spent the rest of the evening... Oh, I've got a story to tell. He spent the rest of the evening trying to mend those lights. Literally, that was it on the with various screwdrivers and pushing in bolts and changing fuses and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, couldn't get it to work. So on Saturday, I said, so are we binning those lights then? Yes, we're binning the lights. So do you know what he did? He packed them all back into the box, and then with the packed box, put the box on the bin. I think he's got some kind of problem about throwing things away. In the box, packed away really neatly, and then on the bin. So I said, shall I bin that? Shall I? Yes, I did. I did bin it. But, you know, he needn't have packed them away, really, because the box could have gone in recycling, couldn't it? So I take them out of the box, put the lights in there, and put the box in this deal with me. Anyway, happy Christmas, everyone. He says I can't do anything. I said, no, you can't, actually. Anyway, it's coming up to 11 o'clock. After 11, we are going to be talking about board games and Scrabble. It's that time of year, isn't it?
Ordis did not think the operator could be more attractive. Wrong again, Ordis.
Oh, dear. You know, to start playing Monopoly and having rows when there's Brexit to discuss as well. So we'll talk about board games and which are the most popular ones coming up after 11.
Ripon,
Tadcaster,
Scarborough,
Malton,
loving life in North Yorkshire.
BBC Radio York.
BBC News at 11 o'clock. I'm Nathan Turvey. Shares in the Yorkshire-based online fashion retailer ASOS have fallen sharply after it issued a warning about its profits earlier. The company says that although sales rose in the past 3 months, it's had to slash prices in November to keep up with its competitors. The BBC's Darshini David says that after a series of problems with high street shops, this suggests online sales are also slowing.
Now it's admitted that it too had seen November sales doing very badly indeed. And what we're seeing this morning is that shares across the board are suffering as a result, because investors are saying if ASOS can't make this pay, who can? And of course, it's devastating news, not just for retailers, and we could see more warnings over the course of the week, but also for the economy as a whole, because consumer spending makes up the majority of our economy.
A man's due in court today charged with the murder of a 24-year-old woman in Yorkshire. He's accused of killing Poppy Dealey Waterhouse in Leeds. Emergency services were called to Richmond Hill on Friday morning, following reports of a woman who was suffering from serious injuries. Police say she died at the scene. Today, detectives say they've charged a 25-year-old man called Joe Atkinson with murder. The Prime Minister is to tell MPs later that another Brexit referendum would do irreparable damage to the integrity of British politics. Some of her close allies have had to deny reports that they're planning for a new vote. After months of delays and cancellations on the railways, the government says more passengers on Northern Rail will now be able to claim compensation for late trains. The scheme will allow passengers to claim a quarter of the single journey price back if a Northern train is delayed by more than 15 minutes. The Rail Minister, North Yorkshire MP Andrew Jones, says it's the right thing to do for passengers.
Sometimes things go wrong, and when they go wrong, we have a compensation scheme, and today we are improving that compensation scheme. Up until now, we have had a system that if you are delayed by 30 minutes or more, you can get some money back. Today, that changes to be from 15 minutes of delay.
Motorists are being warned by North Yorkshire Police to think twice before driving after a heavy night out. It's after a man in his 30s was arrested near Wetherby on suspicion of being more than 2 times over the legal drink-drive limit early on Saturday morning. Since their Christmas drink and drug driving campaign began at the beginning of December, the force says 67 drivers have been arrested on suspicion of drink or drug driving. The government is being urged to offer more support to councils which provide housing for asylum seekers. The Commons Home Affairs Committee warns that some local authorities are thinking of pulling out of the scheme. The Home Office says it's working closely with councils. There are plans to house around 50 asylum seekers here in North Yorkshire over the next 2 years. And Tour de France winner Geraint Thomas has been voted BBC Sports Personality of the Year, while England football manager Gareth Southgate, who lives in North Yorkshire of course, was named Coach of the Year for leading them to the World Cup semi-final.
If you win as a coach, then it means that your players have done something right. We've had an exceptional group of players who've really, as I said earlier, acquitted themselves brilliantly. Ultimately, we didn't quite win, and I'm conscious of that. And until we win together, then we won't rest. We won't sit back and be satisfied.
And that's the latest BBC News. It's now 3 minutes past 11.
BBC Radio York weather.
With Lisa Gallagher.
Patches of mist through the Vale of York, clearing to leave us with a dry and fine morning with spells of sunshine. Cloud will increase across the Pennines and Dales later this afternoon with a moderate southwest wind with temperatures around 7 or 8 degrees. So cloudy through this evening with some outbreaks of light rain and drizzles. The breeze picks up overnight. It will be generally dry but cloudy and windy with temperatures down
Our
to 5
position
degrees.
has been
And a
compromised.
cloudy and windy day to come.
Defend the
tomorrow.
cargo
Spells of
until
rain may be
reinforcements
heavy at times
arrive.
in the afternoon. Gusty southeasterly winds and temperatures around 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you, Nathan.
Oh, snow. It feels all twinkly.
Got some tea in bed. Seeing the kids enjoying themselves.
Cosy enough on Saturday with quite a traditional Christmas feel.
Loving Christmas in North Yorkshire.
Jonathan Cowan. BBC Radio York.
shaky young mode. So festive. Again, tree up and everything. Friday night, did you go along to Cruising Christmas? Joko's Keys. It was fantastic. We managed it. I was trying to find out.
Very impressive, Tenno. You held them all back. Time to get out of here.
Lit the fire, left the telly on, so hopefully she didn't notice. She was very surprised when we came home. Hang on, I thought you were upstairs. Yes. So we can probably only get away with it the once. But anyway, I feel quite deceptive. But anyway, it was worth it because we went to Crooning Christmas Jericho Keys concert on Friday night. It was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. Who knew that Alan Watkins was so good at playing the piano? He was just brilliant, and all the singers, it was just lovely. And then we all had a big sing-song at the end as well. So really, really nice. And one of these cross-generational things, all of these Jericho Keys ones, they're just lovely because you've got families of all the singers, you've got people from Radio York, you've got little baby Albie went, little baby, and he's only 8 weeks old, so he was there and slept through most of it. When there was clapping, he sort of went, oh, and then went back to sleep. It was just brilliant, and you can hear it. If you didn't get to go along to Crooning Christmas, you can hear it. It's on Christmas Day at 9 o'clock. So put that in your diary because that's the definite. I mean, and obviously after that it'll be on the iPlayer as well if you can't stay up that late, or if you booked yourself an appointment. I've done the radio times. I went through the radio times with my highlighter pen of what's on for the whole of the chat. The full 2 weeks. So yeah, so you can pop that in your diary and it will be on the iPlayer afterwards as well. But Christmas Day on Radio York just looks brilliant. Jonathan's here at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then we've got the Radio York Carol service at Ripon Cathedral at between 10 and 11. And that's going to be recorded this Sunday. So if you can get along to Ripon Cathedral, what a setting for a carol service. Jonathan, Joe Anita, Claire Frisbee, Steve Bailey, all at Ripon Cathedral on Sunday for a special service. It starts at 5:30, but it is going to be busy, obviously, so get there nice and early, probably around 5 o'clock. What a beautiful, beautiful setting for a carol service. And Jonathan, Joe, Claire and Steve all doing readings, and then you can hear that on Christmas Day between 10 and 11, so you'd be able to hear yourself sing. It'd be great, wouldn't it? So that's just some of the things happening over Christmas. Loads and loads of brilliant programmes coming up over the festive period, and brilliant music like the carol service, Jericho's Crooning Christmas, the community carol concert that was on yesterday as well. That's all coming up on Christmas Day too. Here's Seal.
The enemy is at our doorstep. You must defend our equipment until reinforcements arrive.
talking about board games.
Come on! That's the last of them. Objective is secure. Let's go home.
And it's sold in 121 countries and is available in 29 languages. So it's estimated around 150 million sets have been sold worldwide, and roughly half of British homes have a Scrabble set. So why has it been a favourite for so long? Well, we're joined by Dr. Sam Illingworth, who is the founder of the Games Research Network and a games fanatic. Morning, Sam.
Good morning, Julia. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. And I do love a game of Scrabble, and I'm not medium at it. You know, I'm sometimes weird. If I play against my brother, I lose all the time. So I've got trauma about that from my childhood because he's very, very clever. But sometimes if I play against my husband, I can win. It's about even Stevens. So, but he just takes so long. That's the trouble. He takes so long whenever we go. But what is it about Scrabble that we
If
love?
I may say, operator, your chosen WarFrame suits you.
Enjoyed such great longevity. So on the 16th of December 1948, 70 years ago, it successfully got its trademark. And the reason why it's been so successful since then is 4 reasons. Reason number 1, it's well priced, cost about 20 quid for a game of Scrabble. Reason number 2, very easy to explain and to pick up, and it's a great way to even learn a language, even if your English language skills are basic, also played in 31 other languages as well. Reason number 3, a few people can be a bit sniffy about board games, think they're a bit childish or a bit infantile, but Scrabble has that association with crosswords and wordplay, which gives it an intellectual capacity that means that people are much more, happy to play it. Reason number 4, though, and probably the most important reason of all, is that it evolves with language. So every year and every new edition, the Scrabble dictionary gets updated with legal words, which means that when we're playing Scrabble, it doesn't feel as though we're playing a game from the 1940s. It feels as though we're playing a game in 2018. So words that have been included in this edition include meeple, twerk, yowza, sheeple, and even And what that means is that when we're playing it, it feels as though we're playing something modern. It feels as though we're playing something now. It feels as though we're playing something relevant. And that's why Scrabble's enjoyed such great longevity. 151 million copies sold worldwide. Over half of British homes have one. And at any hour in any day, 30,000 games of Scrabble are going on worldwide.
Good grief, that's scary, isn't it? Why do you think then that board games endure, particularly at Christmas? Everyone gets the board games out. I mean, we've got Xboxes and what's the other thing called PlayStations. We've got the phone, haven't we? And there's so much on the telly now with all these streaming services. But why do we all still sit down and get the board game out?
So I'm a big fan of video games as well, but the thing about tabletop games, which are enjoying a huge global renaissance at the moment, it's a multi-billion-pound industry, is that it enables us to have that degree of social interaction that video games don't normally enable us to have. So we can sit down, we can play with our friends, we can play with our families, we can look them in the eye, and then we can utterly crush them mercilessly and enjoy it as we're doing it. What it also gives us is there's that degree of tactility. You know, it feels so nice being able to hold onto a dice being able to throw it across the kitchen table, putting your hand into that bag of Scrabble tiles, and that's something that video games don't normally allow us to do, which means that tabletop games are always going to be successful, they're always going to be relevant, and they're always going to be a great way of bringing together family and friends to have meaningful
Operator,
social
you have
interactions
remembered well
in an
how the Tenno
environment
arm
that's
themselves.
great at festive periods as well.
Well, you mentioned there the tactile nature of board games, and there is almost like a retro feeling. I know with my daughter, who's a teenager, and her friends, they love vinyl, they love cassettes, they love those Instamatic cameras where you actually get something, you know, there's a thing in your hands. And again, with board games, is that part of it, the retro nature of it?
This return to the analogue, absolutely, and I think that we can see that, can't we? Exactly, it's the examples you gave was this return to vinyl, this idea of being able to hold something, being able to physically interact with it. And the other great thing about board games is they're continuously updating. So, you know, Scrabble hasn't really changed its rules in 70 years because it hasn't needed to, because language itself has evolved and adapted. Whereas we've got something like Monopoly, which is the biggest selling board game of all time, that has adapted. So this year Monopoly released its Fortnite edition, and also really interestingly it released its Cheaters edition. So Monopoly realised that people do tend to cheat at Monopoly. So as you can probably tell, people always want to be the banker so they can have an extra bit of cash. People tend to move people's pawns or pretend they've got property that they don't normally have. And this version of Cheaters Monopoly actually rewards people for cheating, and also comes with a little pair of plastic handcuffs so that you can handcuff your opponents to the table for when they have been cheating.
Operator, messages have arrived in your
It's been
inbox.
lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much. That's Dr. Sam Illingworth, who's the founder of the Games Research Network and a Games Fanatic. So I'd love your views on board games. Which ones will you be playing over the Christmas period? Another, you know, it just takes so long, my husband, when it comes to Scrabble. Should you have a timer when it comes to your round on Scrabble? Do you have a timer? I'm thinking of putting, you know, like a 1 minute time limit on how long you can, because we're there forever. You know, just let's miss this go. Come on, let's go round again. Which ones will you be playing, and do you have any bizarre rules like that? Get the timer on him. 0800 treble
Your collection of mods is
48
impressive,
49.
operator.
Be nice
But
to hear from you.
I wonder
You
if
can
there
text
are
if you
more
like.
to be had.
81333. Start your text with your. Good morning, it's Julia in for Jonathan. It's Monday morning, 9 days till Christmas.
I haven't slept at all days. It's been so long since we talked, and I have been here many days. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. What can I do to make you love me? What can I do to make you care? What can I say to make you feel this? What can I do to get you there?
Borders has been counting stars, operator. All accounted for.
And I just gotta let it go. And who knows, I might feel better, yeah, if I don't try and I don't hope. What can I do to make you love me? What can I do to make you care? What can I say to make you feel this? What can I do to get you there? No more waiting, no more aching. No more fighting, no more trying.
You are here on a capture mission. You must find, capture, and extract our target. You found a target. Capture them quickly before they escape.
What can I do to make you love me?
target is in the vicinity. Find them. Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive at base. Your part is done here.
I will consider what I have learned from this skirmish.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Tenno.
BBC Radio York.
Are you proper Christmas now?
Yes, oh yeah.
Proper Christmas. Tree up, everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the York Community Carol concert yesterday at the Barbican.
Brilliant.
Packed. Absolutely packed. Fabulous afternoon. Some lovely performances. Some great school choirs and young people's choirs and all that fabulous band. And so yeah, you can't go to that and then go home and think, right, I'm not doing Christmas.
It's real Christmas.
Yeah,
it's
just
on.
terrific.
Look, I've got the schedule up. 2 o'clock on Christmas Day.
Yes.
Oh, do you know? And we'll be coming back from Scarborough in the car.
There you go. You see. There you go. Perfect. So if you were in the audience yesterday at the York Barbican, 2 o'clock Christmas Day, you can hear yourself singing and clapping. My word, they were good.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive at base. Your part is done here, Tenno.
Yes, I think so. This journey. Then 2 of them performed very well, and they were Joe and Stacey. I know people will argue about Faye and Ashley and some sort of experience. They were probably the best dancers, but between Stacey and Joe, then yes, absolutely. It's been a really good season. So we'll catch up with Betty Redondo just afterwards, see what she's played of it all. Going up to 2 o'clock, we're going to hear from Derek Shonadine, who's a French chef. He's written a book called Rock and Roll and Rambles. He's done a number of series for us. He's doing another this week. So Monday through to Thursday, and he's looking at legends of Christmas. So people might know this. What was they doing? Christmas awards, Christmas songs, all that sort of thing, and a bit of the backstory as well. So we start that at 20 between 2 an actor called Watson, who tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So every night this week, he is performing a Dickens performance, the Dickens Ghost Stories, which is no mean feat. He's doing it at the medical. I've lost the name of it now.
It's on Stonegate. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yes.
Oh, it's in the
Yes,
I do.
yes.
Oh, the York Medical
Yes, that's right. That's it. Yeah. He's doing it in there. He's doing the legal stories in there. So he's going to reach out to me to that. I'm going to be back in time next time, day 13.
Well, there's 3 that I thought it was meant to be done.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's 3 and Christmas, and we were talking to a teenager yesterday about his favourite Christmas album. Christmas album, and 17-year-old, that's what we
is. Yeah, great. Very good.
Thank you very much, Adam Tomlinson here at 12. Let's take a quick look at the weather. A few mist and fog patches clearing today. Top temperature 8 Celsius. Cloudy this evening without breaks of light rain. The rest of the night will be dry but fairly cloudy and windy with an overnight low of 5 Celsius, that's 41 Fahrenheit. The outlook for tomorrow, Tuesday, cloudy with outbreaks of rain, spreading eastwards through the morning, becoming heavy and persistent later, milder but windy past the waterproofs.
Julia Lewis.
BBC Radio York.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Tenno. Navigation has been updated with new weapons. Chaos is spreading. Down the quick have no choice but to destroy them. The reactor is falling into stasis. Now is your chance to complete sabotage. Use whatever you can to make sure it never works again. Coolant cell destroyed. Fuel cell reinserted. When the reactor is restarted, this will trigger a meltdown. Fuel injectors. Your sabotage is complete. Get to extraction. Another job well executed.